My parents borrowed my car for the weekend. On Monday I got a $1,900 towing bill, and a call from the police. I'm shaking as I type this. I always knew my parents favored my younger sister, but I never imagined things would get this toxic. If anyone ever tells you family loyalty comes before common sense, please learn from my mistake. The cast. I'm 30M, living in a small city in the Midwest. I work full-time as an HVAC tech and drive a 2021 Toyota Camry that I bought with my own money. It's not a fancy sports car, but it's the first new car I've ever owned, and I baby it like it's my child. My parents, both in their late 50s, live about an hour away. My sister, Rachel, 27F, is the golden child. If you've ever read stories about the favored sibling, you already know the type: charming when she wants something, eternally struggling, constantly rescued by my parents. She has 2 young kids with a boyfriend who drifts in and out of their lives like a bad Wi-Fi signal. For years, my parents have treated me like the family ATM. Need help with Rachel's rent? Your sister has kids, you can spare it. Need someone to drive grandma to an appointment? Rachel's overwhelmed, can you take off work? And every time I said no, I was guilt-tripped with, we sacrificed so much to raise you. You owe us for existing. That phrase, owe us for existing, has haunted me since high school. Just a quick borrow. 2 Fridays ago, my mom called while I was finishing a service call. Mom, sweetie, we need a big favor. Rachel's car broke down and the kids have a soccer tournament this weekend. Could she borrow your Camry just until Sunday night? We promised to fill the tank. Me, I need the car for work on Monday. Mom, of course. We'll have it back Sunday evening, full tank, washed. You can trust us. Against my better judgment, I said yes. My parents came to my apartment that evening to pick up the car. My dad insisted on driving it himself because Rachel's boyfriend isn't good with new cars. I handed over the keys, reminding them, again, that I needed it back by Sunday night. They promised. I should have trusted my gut. The Monday morning shock. Sunday night came and went. No car. No text. I called. No answer. By Monday morning, panic set in. I need that car to drive to job sites. I called again, still nothing. At 9 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Dispatcher, this is Officer Daniels with City Police Department. Are you the registered owner of a 2021 Toyota Camry, plate ###########? Me, yes, what's going on? Officer, your vehicle was towed early this morning after being left in a restricted area downtown. There's also a pending citation for illegal parking and an expired child seat inspection tag. Me, what? I didn't even drive it this weekend. Officer, the towing fee is $1,900 due to multiple violations and overnight impound. My jaw literally dropped. The discovery. I left work in a panic and took an Uber to the impound lot. There was my Camry, dirty, back seat covered in fast food wrappers, car seats jammed in every corner. A bright orange tow notice was taped to the windshield. When the attendant handed me the paperwork, the ticket time showed 3:17 a.m. Monday. My stomach turned. Not only had my parents not returned the car, they'd been driving it past midnight in a different city, 2 hours away. While paying the outrageous towing fee, my phone finally lit up with a text from my mom. Mom, don't overreact. We're still using the car. Be home tonight. Still using the car. They knew it had been towed and said nothing. The confrontation. I drove straight to my parents' house. My Camry smelled like spilled soda and something worse, maybe spoiled milk. My dad, Mom, Rachel, and her kids were all in the living room like it was a normal Monday afternoon. I walked in holding the tow receipt. Do you have any idea what you've done? I just paid $1,900 because you left my car in a restricted zone. My dad barely looked up from the TV. Watch your tone. My mom waved her hand dismissively. It's not that serious. We were only gone a few hours. They shouldn't charge that much anyway. Rachel rolled her eyes. You're acting like we stole it. You said we could use it. I said for the weekend. You lied and didn't even call. My dad stood up, towering over me. His voice was cold. You owe us for everything we've done for you. For your existence. Don't forget who bought your first car. Don't forget who let you live rent-free after college. If we need to use something you own, we're entitled. Those words, owe us for your existence, hit me like a punch. Something in me snapped. Calling the police. Without another word, I stepped into the hallway and dialed the number Officer Daniels had given me. Officer Daniels. This is my name. I'd like to report my vehicle as stolen. The people who took it are still inside the house. There was a pause on the line. Are you in immediate danger? No, I said, voice shaking. But they took my car without permission and cost me nearly $2,000. He told me to stay outside and wait for a patrol car. When I walked back into the living room, my dad smirked. Who were you calling? The police, I said evenly. You stole my car. The room exploded. Mom shouted, Rachel cursed, the kids started crying. My dad's face turned beet red. You wouldn't dare, he growled. I just walked out the front door and waited on the porch. The aftermath. 2 squad cars arrived within 15 minutes. Officer Daniels was one of them. I explained everything calmly, showing the paperwork, text messages, and tow receipt. The officers separated us to hear each side. My parents tried to spin it as a family misunderstanding, insisting I'd loaned the car. But when the officers asked to see proof of my permission, any text, any message, they had nothing. I showed the officer my original text reminding them to return it Sunday night and the Monday morning text from my mom admitting they were still using it. That was enough. Officer Daniels informed them that, because I'm the registered owner and explicitly revoked permission, they were in possession of a stolen vehicle. He said I had every right to press charges. My mom started crying. Rachel screamed that I was ruining the family. My dad glared at me with pure hatred. I told the officers I wanted to press charges. The charges. My parents were not handcuffed, but they were given a citation for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle and a notice to appear in court. Officer Daniels explained that if they failed to show up, a warrant could be issued. As the officers escorted them to their own car, Rachel drove, my dad turned to me and spat, "You're dead to me." I said nothing. For once, silence felt like power. Going no contact. That night, I changed my locks and installed a security camera. I blocked my parents and Rachel on every platform. I also filed a civil claim to recover the $1,900 tow fee. My lawyer friend says I have a strong case, especially with the text evidence. The next day, my mom tried emailing from a different address. You didn't have to involve the police. Family should forgive. You'll regret this. I didn't respond. The court date. A week later, we appeared in municipal court. My parents looked smaller than I'd ever seen them. The judge read the charges and asked if I wanted to proceed. I said yes. My dad muttered under his breath about ungrateful children, but the judge wasn't having it. They were ordered to pay restitution for the towing fee, plus a small fine for unauthorized use. When the judge asked if I wanted a protective order, I said yes. The gavel came down. Case closed. Life after the break. It's been 2 weeks since the court date. I haven't heard a word from my parents or Rachel. A cousin texted to say they're telling everyone I betrayed them and destroyed the family for a car. But a few relatives privately admitted they're proud of me for finally standing up for myself. As for me, I feel lighter. I drive my Camry every day knowing it's truly mine. No one is entitled to it, or to me, just because of DNA. Part 2, Fallout, Family Lies, and Courtrooms. When I left the police station that night, I felt numb. The tow yard released my car after I showed proof of ownership, but it cost me another $1,900 in storage and towing fees. The officers told me I could add the cost to the theft report. My hands were shaking as I slid behind the wheel. It smelled like stale fast food and spilled juice boxes. There were crayon marks on the back seat and a sticky purple handprint on the passenger door. They hadn't just taken my car. They'd treated it like a garbage can. The first call. I was barely halfway home when my phone lit up with "Mom." Against my better judgment, I answered. "Mom. How dare you involve the police? Do you know how humiliating that was? They treated us like criminals in front of the children. Me, you are criminals. You stole my car. You refused to return it. That's literally theft. Mom, we are your parents. Everything you have is because of us. You owe us respect and gratitude, not threats of jail. Me, respect is earned. You don't get to kidnap my property and expect thanks." She hung up on me after a stream of screaming about family loyalty and disrespect. I sat there, gripping the wheel, wondering how many times I had let them walk over me because they were family. Not anymore. The Golden Sister speaks. The next morning my sister Melanie, the golden child, sent a text. "You went way too far. Mom and Dad just wanted to take the kids to the lake. You ruined a fun weekend because you're petty and jealous. Maybe if you weren't so cold all the time they wouldn't need to borrow things. Borrow. Without asking. Without returning. While calling me ungrateful for existing." I didn't reply. Instead, I took screenshots of every text and email, attached them to the police report, and requested an order of protection for my vehicle. My insurance rep was surprisingly sympathetic. Apparently, family theft is more common than most people think. The charges. A week later, an officer called to tell me the case was moving forward. Because my parents had been caught in the car and admitted they didn't have my permission, the DA was willing to file unauthorized use of a vehicle, a misdemeanor, but still criminal. They'd also be responsible for restitution if I pursued civil damages. I wrestled with the decision. Pressing charges meant my parents could end up with a record. But dropping it meant they'd never take me seriously. I chose to move forward. The family meeting from hell. Word spread fast. My aunt invited me to a family dinner to talk things out. Against my better judgment, I went, partly to see where everyone stood, partly because I wanted witnesses. The second I walked in, the ambush began. Mom cried about how I was breaking the family apart. Dad shouted that I was ungrateful for the life they gave me. Melanie accused me of ruining her children's summer memories. An uncle I barely know muttered something about kids these days and their disrespect. I stayed calm. I repeated, they stole my car. This isn't about family. This is about theft. When my dad tried to grab my arm, I stepped back and said loudly, "Touch me again and I'll call the police, again." The room went dead silent. I left without touching the dinner my aunt had cooked. That was the last time I saw them outside of a courtroom. Court day. The hearing was anticlimactic. My parents pleaded no contest to unauthorized use of a vehicle. They were ordered to pay $3,400 in restitution, tow, storage, cleaning, and damages to the upholstery. They also had to attend a responsible ownership class. Ironically titled, Considering the Circumstances. When the judge asked if I had anything to say, I simply stated, "I love my family, but love doesn't excuse theft." I set a boundary, and they chose to cross it. I hope this teaches them that my existence isn't something they own. The judge nodded. My parents glared at me as if I'd personally burned down their house. Aftermath. It's been 2 months since the verdict. Mom sends occasional guilt-ridden texts about forgiving and forgetting. Dad hasn't spoken to me at all. Melanie posts vague Facebook rants about snakes in the family. I blocked them all. I installed a security camera above my driveway and keep my keys locked inside a safe box. My spare key now lives with a trusted friend across town. Moving forward. At first, I grieved. I grieved the parents I thought I had, the ones who were supposed to protect me, not steal from me. I grieved the fantasy of a normal family dinner without manipulation or guilt. But slowly, I felt lighter. I started taking weekend road trips, in my own car. I adopted a rescue dog who rides shotgun and eats more fast food fries than is probably healthy. I realized that peace is worth more than keeping the family together. Last week I received the restitution check. I used part of it to pay off the last bit of my car loan. The rest went into a savings account labeled Freedom Fund. Lessons learned. 1. Family is not a free pass. DNA doesn't give anyone the right to your property or your peace. 2. Boundaries only matter if you enforce them. Calling the police wasn't betrayal. It was protection. 3. Gratitude is not equal to servitude. I don't owe anyone for being born. If my parents ever want a relationship, it will start with an apology and a real understanding that borrowing without permission is theft, whether you share a last name or not. Until then, my dog and I will keep cruising down the highway, windows down, radio up, enjoying the sweet sound of freedom. Part 3, 6 months later, The Long Echo. It's been half a year since the court date, and I thought things had finally settled. The restitution check cleared, the criminal record became a quiet footnote in the county system, and for a while my life felt blissfully ordinary. But if my family has taught me anything, it's that silence is rarely the end, it's just the space before the next storm. The emergency visit. One rainy Saturday morning, I woke up to frantic knocking. Through the peephole I saw Melanie, holding her youngest on her hip. Against my better judgment, I cracked the door. "Please," she said before I could speak. "Mom's in the hospital. Heart palpitations. She keeps asking for you." Every instinct told me it might be a trap, but I grabbed my coat and followed her car to the hospital anyway. Because despite everything, she's still my mother. The hospital room. Mom looked small in the bed, hooked to a monitor. Dad sat in a chair, arms crossed, eyes hard. The second he saw me, his jaw tightened. Mom's voice was soft. "Sweetheart. I miss you. I want my family back." Before I could reply, Dad cut in. "But it has to start with you admitting you went too far." There it was, the same old script. Mom's tears, Dad's ultimatums, Melanie's silent approval. I took a deep breath and said, "I came because I care about Mom's health. But if this conversation is about guilt or rewriting what happened, I'm leaving." Dad scoffed. "You called the cops on your own parents." "Because you stole my car," I said, keeping my voice calm. "That's a choice you made. I won't apologize for protecting myself." The monitor beeped steadily. Mom turned her face away. I stayed 15 more minutes, talked about neutral things, her diet, the weather, then left. The fallout, again. By the time I got home, my phone was lighting up. "Aunt Karen, your father is heartbroken. How could you be so cold? Uncle Mark, you're lucky they even wanted to see you after what you did. Melanie, I hope you're happy. You made Mom cry again." I blocked 2 more numbers and put my phone on silent. Therapy and clarity. I finally started therapy after that hospital visit. For years I'd told myself I was too busy or fine on my own, but the truth is I was scared to unpack the decades of manipulation. My therapist gave me a word I'd never used for my parents before: entitlement. They believe your existence puts you in permanent debt, she said. It's not love. It's control. Hearing it framed that way felt like someone turned a key in a locked door. A letter to myself. As part of therapy, I wrote a letter, not to them, but to me. I listed every time they'd crossed a boundary. Taking my first paycheck, for bills, and never giving it back. Using my college savings for Melanie's wedding. Dismissing every no with, family comes first. I ended the letter with: I do not owe them access to my life in exchange for the life they gave me. I keep that letter in my glove compartment, next to my registration, both documents that prove ownership. The golden child cracks. 2 months later, Melanie texted out of nowhere. I can't do this anymore. They're using me now that you're gone. They guilt me about babysitting, money, everything. I think I finally get what you meant. For the first time in years, she wasn't defending them. We met for coffee. She looked exhausted. They told me I owe them for existing too, she admitted. They even used those exact words. It was surreal watching the favorite child describe the same manipulation. I didn't gloat. I just listened. Choosing my family. Melanie isn't ready to go no contact yet, but she's setting small boundaries, keeping her spare key hidden, saying no to sudden borrowing, refusing to cover their debts. We've started having weekly coffee dates with her kids. Liam adores his cousins, and for once the visits feel safe because they're ours, not orchestrated by our parents. Mom still sends occasional health updates. Dad hasn't spoken to me since the hospital. I've stopped expecting apologies. I've stopped needing them. Life now. Life is peaceful. I got a promotion at work and used part of my restitution fund to finally take that road trip I've been putting off. Liam and I drove through 3 states, blasting music, eating roadside pie, laughing at ridiculous billboards. My dog hung his head out the window the whole way. At one gas station, Liam looked at me and said, "Mom, isn't it nice that nobody can tell us what to do?" Yes, kid. It really is. What I've learned, again. Emergencies don't erase boundaries. A hospital bracelet doesn't make manipulation healthy. Patterns repeat until you break them. Reporting the car theft wasn't the end, it was the first step. Freedom feels quiet. Not triumphant, not dramatic, just steady, safe hours.